want to make sure that you understand what it is that you're doing here. So I've set it up for you, so you don't have to do anything with it but fill it out. So the scenario and the title, you'll paste that in. So I've just got one here. So it's scenario 4, and this is the title here. Actually, scenario, I think you should probably just take all of that. So I'm going to copy, and I'll just paste that there, and I don't know what that is. And then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to copy the title, and I'm going to paste that here. So some people have got different things going on, so I just want to make sure that we've got that right. Your name, obviously, and then your student number. If you don't know it, don't worry, we can put that in later. No idea what I just copied there. I'll just cut that out. That could just be a glitch, actually. Alright, so that's how you do the front page. And then you're going to double click into the header, and you're going to put your name again, and if you have your student number, you put it there. If not, leave it blank. We'll sort it out later. The introduction is just what you read about what the scenario is about. Normally starts on page 2, and you're going to summarize each task. We've pretty much done this in class anyway, so you just summarize each task. Do not copy and paste what's in here, just explain what you have to do. Okay, so you will have to read the whole thing so that you know what you have to do. And so for each task, there could be some subtasks. So for example, it could be 5 and then 5A, B, C, D. These are the different things within. I personally just summarize the main task. Okay, you know what you've got to do when you actually build the thing, but just as just a summary. So don't go into too much detail. Oh, I've got to build what is it? I've got to have a spreadsheet that will save the data from the program, and then you're going to go on and say all of this stuff. Now just say I've got to be able to save the data to the program. Okay, so that's what we talk about, a summary. When you're getting into the nitty-gritty of what you've actually done, you can go into that kind of detail. A Gantt chart, I've set this up. I think we're allowed 20 hours in total. So what I've said is 25 hours, that's not bad. Okay, so then we'll plan for 20 hours. Okay, always giving that few hours extra, and all the different things that we have to do are I've outlined them for you. And so all you're going to do is how many hours would you put aside, and then you know, you can do this by hand later, or you can fill it out, you know, I don't know, whatever. But the point is, this is just saying, did you need extra time for the tasks that you were given? Okay, so if you want to add some more tasks, you can just go to the bottom and add like that. Otherwise, you can just stick with the tasks I've got here for you, and you're good to go. What I will do, I will just, if you notice, as I'm talking to you, I'm just kind of updating the formatting a little bit. Okay, now it says design of a solution research. I'm just looking for code snippets. Some of people have just copied and pasted code and discussed it. Other people have put it in a table. Don't care how it's done. Just show that you've gone on the internet, you've had a little look around to get ideas for different bits of code that could be used. We're really focused on saying what the code construct or structure was. Was it a selection statement? Was it a method? If you don't know what a method is, go find out on the internet. I'll discuss it again in class at some stage, but you know, whenever you hear something that you don't say, well, what's that? What's she talking about? You are responsible to go and find out. Everything's on the internet. Stacks is amazing. Okay, so always keep a note of where you've got anything that you've picked up, because you're going to have to do it in a bibliography later. That's all about research. Most of you are alright with that. Most of you have done quite a good job on that anyway. Okay, so then design of a solution, the data table. A lot of you have gone wrong here. When I say a data table, we're talking about what types of data. So what is the name of your variable? What type of data is it? You can only choose from these. Let's just stick to that. Alright, I guess an array would be there as well, but I don't even want to get things confused. I'll put array there because it is a data type. It's a construct really. No, I'm going to take, shall I keep it in? No, I'm going to take it off. Because it's not a data type really, because it's only allowed to be one type of data, so let's leave that off. And why did you use it? Okay, and what task? So that's obviously something you can't fill out until you've done it. But I'm just going to go and look really quickly for some code to give you an example of what I mean. So here in this particular task, can't see any data types used here. Somewhere there must be another example. If you used an integer data type and you declared that as a variable, then that would go up there and it would be the name. Oh, so typical. And it would be the name of the variable. Oh, here you go. Oh, I'll just use the same one over and over again. You must be saving it. Oh, this is an array. So typical. Okay, well, this data type is called choice. So this is an array that was saved, and it's in a data type called choice, and it's obviously an integer data type because there are just numbers. So what you'd put in your table here is you'd have a variable name called choice, and then don't really want that bold, and then you'd say it was an integer data type. You can say int or integer. I'm just going to take the bold off because it's getting on my nerves. Doesn't need to be that big, doesn't need to be bold. And then you can say why it was used to keep the user choice in task 1 when selecting the menu option. Okay, or store, that probably should say store. Alright, so a variable is a data store, as we know, and what we're doing is we're discussing what type of variable is it, what is the name of the variable, why did you use it, where did you use it. Okay, so this particular variable is called choice. It's an integer variable, and it's used to store the user choice when they come onto the system to decide what they want in the menu. The menu choice. Okay, so that's where I got it from. It's an array. An array is a data store. It's a variable, a number of variables. This one's called choice. The reason I know it's an integer is because there's a choice of numbers. Okay, and you can see here again, look, it's taking in, it's saying if they chose 1, put it into choice. Okay, so we do know that is why I've put that there. So you've got to go through when you've done and find all the variables, put their names down here, the data type from the choice here, and why it was used and what task it was used in. Remember, you can add new lines here. If, of course, when you're doing this, you don't fill up all these lines, all you have to do is highlight them and cut them away. Okay, that's how you get rid of the lines, and you click on. And if you don't have the new version of Office, you can right click and insert, and then just keep putting the rows below. Okay, so the next section is all your flowcharts and pseudocode. We've done a lot of work on that, so just make sure there's a heading to say what the task number is. Okay, so task number 1, and then you put the flowcharts and the pseudocode. Task number 2, do it that way. Okay, meeting requirements. The odd screen dump here and there is good. Don't have to screen dump absolutely everything you do, no need. We'll put the task number and then just an example of what you did to map to that task. So for example, in this particular assignment, the task number, the task was to create a menu system. So there's a screen dump with the annotation here, just to explain how this individual mapped to the menu system. Okay, so I've taken this directly off somebody else's coursework from last year. This individual got an A, so we know that this is how we need to be doing our report. Okay, so if you look, what I'm doing here is just formatting. You can copy and paste these if you want. So if you do copy, when you're doing yours, don't paste as a picture, paste using that one. That way you'll be able to amend it. Okay, so if you can't be bothered to go into insert, shapes and the callouts, because when you do that you have to format them like that. So you want it filled with white and you want it the black outline, and then the text, you have to make sure that you choose black text, okay, because it comes default as white because it was originally blue, and then you don't want it centered. Okay, if you want the text to start at the top, you go to text align and top. Alright, so a little bit of help with these documents. Okay, the next section is programming techniques. Now this is what you've actually done. There are two ways that you can do this. You can either screen dump the blocks of code in the emulator. So, I mean, this is just out of Notepad. To be honest, I just opened it up in Notepad, but you can do it from the Eclipse or wherever it is that you're doing your program. And as long as your code is commented, that's fine. You can copy and paste the entire code block here. If it's commented, that's fine. Okay, so you can what you want to do though is for all the code that you write, you want to have comments on all the relevant lines. So there are some times when you won't be commenting at all because you've already explained what that is. For example, if you import a new library. So, or you can do it like this, which is the original way that I did ask you to do it, because then there's no way that we've got anything wrong. Okay, because sometimes people forget to annotate their code. So you can either copy and paste the code from wherever emulator it's in and with commented code lines, or you can put it in a table and comment your lines the way that I showed you originally. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you a choice, save you a bit of time necessarily in what you are doing. Alright, I've already got one table in here for you, so what you'd want to do, what happens when you copy the code originally, if it's in a table, it all comes into one big cell. So what you want to do is you just want to copy the elements out so that you can talk about them individually into different rows. And again, if you want to add more rows, you just click on the bottom, or you highlight the end row and go insert and insert row. Okay, so that's how you do that. So there's two ways to do the commenting of the code. And then finally, the programming techniques. Now I've helped you here. This is the instructions, by the way. You delete those when you've finished. Okay, so anything in red you want to be deleting. So here all I've said is you've got your headings already in place. This is what we're looking for. Go through your code and find selection statements. I've given you an example here to actually help you. Okay, so I've filled out this one for you. Basically, I'm leaving this black so that when you do it, you don't have to worry about changing the color. Why did you use the selection statement, and is there another way you might be able to find out how to do this? So the way to find out if there's another way, because you're not supposed to know, I mean, gosh, all right, you've done it that way and it works, so fine. But no, you get the A marks, the higher marks are coming from when you can not only show the type of construct that you've used, but also, well, could you have done it in another way? So selection statement versus switch case. So in Java, for sure, you can do switch case. And all I've done is selection statement versus switch case. Why would I can't see anything coming along here. Can you see? So this just tells us why we'd how to do these different things. So that's not helping. So what about why use switch case instead of selection? Okay, so that's what I've done now. And why the switch statement and not if else? That's a good one. So that's Stack Overflow. So normally it's people like you guys on here asking questions, and then you've got coders and other kids that know what they're talking about come on and explain. So if you look here, you've got a nice little answer. You have to read it though. Yeah, and you do get nice answers, and you do get things when you're reading it. If it doesn't make sense, just don't use it. Otherwise, you can get some answers. If you can't fill out this bit, possible other methods, well, you can't fill it out, whatever. Okay, I've got one in here because I know that you don't really know switch case too well. So if you would more likely be using selection, and this is a reason why you would do that. So I found that off Stack Overflow, but just to help you, I've put it in. And of course, underneath the discussion, you would have the screen dump of where the code was, and here you're just explaining, well, what does it do? What does this actual piece of code do? And we'll do that in the annotation in that way. What I'm saying is, when you talk about purpose, you're not saying what the code does, you're saying why you used it. So in this case, the user needed to be able to have a choice to log in. So I'm saying, well, I've used it because there's a selection. The system has to make a decision about which way the program's going to jump to, and that's why I've used it. And here you're just explaining the actual code itself. Okay, so if the user chooses one, I've actually explained it here. Alright, so for each type of the thing that you have to discuss, I have put another table. So if it's for error checking, if you notice here, there could be more than one type. A selection statement could be an error check. It could be if the user enters hello instead of 1, then give them an output message saying, no, I'm sorry, you haven't entered the right data. Alright, all of that is error checking. Exception handling is what I've just discussed actually, is where the user types in something they shouldn't have typed in. What do? Try and catch is if there is some erroneous data or something weird that's going on, or even if it's a block of code that needs a try and catch. When you're going on the internet, you might find a block of code that works in your solution and it uses try catch, and that is just really a way for, in the Java libraries, when certain things that we used to call an error, the try-catch method was there to help to solve the error for you, so you didn't have to worry so much about it. So anywhere that you're checking for errors, checking for data that's been imported wrong, etc., that is when you'd use this one. Iteration is loops. For each type of loop you've used, you want another table. How do you do this? You copy and you just paste in like that. Okay, so if it's a while loop, you can delete those, and then you just have the while loop, and then the screen dump of what it is going to be there. Okay, so the screen dump of where you've used a while loop is going to be there. Alright, so that's that. I'm sure variable scope is if you do a variable that's global scope, I mean, is outside of the program, so you can call it anywhere, then that's a global variable, and if it's within the method, then it's a local variable. Okay. There's only one other thing. A function or a method in Java. This is a function. You can get functions in, let's say, Python, but you don't really have functions in Java. You have methods, and that is just blocks of code that do things. Okay. So, for example, that's a method to encrypt. That's another method here to decrypt. Okay, these are actually are they global? They are global variables because they are declared outside of the program. Yeah, so they're within the class task1, and you can call them in the rest of the program here. So this is a static, this doesn't do anything, and if you look, it's calling to the method here. See, equals, and it calls it. So this is a global variable there, and there's a local variable here which is choice. So that's within this particular class here. There's a variable called choice, that's a local, and is reading in files. Can't remember if we have to do that for our coursework, but if you have to read in files, or you have to save to files, then you would show where that was done as well. Okay, so we're just going to call that file handling. Alright, so I want to call that file handling. And like I said, off the top of my head, I can't remember if any of those projects this year did that. But it doesn't matter, it's got to be on there. If you can't add to that, it doesn't matter, because if you'll be able to map to most of these, which will get you the higher grades anyway, but we'll put that on there just in case there is any kind of file handling going on. Alright, so global variable, local variable, and you've just seen how I'm copying and pasting these tables. Every time you have to duplicate the table, that's what you do, as I've just said. So for example, with a while loop, you may duplicate it 3 or 4 times because there are different types of loops that you would use, and you want to show all the loops you've used. For error methods, again, you'd want to show all the different types of error methods you've used. And again, if you've used a different type of selection, so you've got if else, you've just got if, for example, you may well have more than one selection statement. You must say what task number it was relevant to. I think this one was task number 1. Okay, as it says there, and here we've said in task number 1 the user needed to be able to choose what option in a screen. So you would discuss why you had to use it, and then say what it was about. So let me move on from that, explain that actually. Okay, so test plan, again I've put it out here for you. Do try to test for each task. It could be more than one test within a task, but if you've talked about error checking, right, and exception handling here, you must show a test for it here. That's one of the main things, okay, because that would be expected. Whereas they've done exception handling, they've done error checking, why haven't they tested it? So you must test for it. If that means that, say, task 1 has got more than one test, then task 1 has got more than one test, okay? Try and do one test for each task. There's different types of tests. So we've got typical data, which is normal data. So if you say the user can enter 1, 2, 3, then if they enter 1, 2, 3, that's normal data. If it's extreme data, data that's slightly out of the boundaries, so if they enter 4, for example, then that's a test there. And then, of course, erroneous data, if they enter hello instead of 1 to 3, then that's ridiculous data. It doesn't have anything to do with what you wanted them to input. What happens? So you fill out the table, it does what it says on the tin. This is what you expect the results to show. This is the test that you're going to do. This is what should happen. This is the expected result. I don't know what's going on here. And this is the area or thing that you're going to test. Type of data is here. And then obviously the task number, we need to have the task number in here. Okay, so you are going to do a screen dump of the test that you do. If there's any changes, you just say either no, none is required, or yeah, I need to do X, Y, and Z, but you don't have to fix it. So it's really important that you understand that, okay? You don't have to fix it. Okay, I'm just copying and pasting these back in because I noticed that the margins are wrong. I don't want you to have any trouble with your amending anything. Are the margins gone wrong again? Yeah, I can't see. If there's any problems with your margins when you click in, just do like so. Okay, so if you've got any text missing, all you've got to do is just go in and just move the margin line as I'm doing around. Alright, that will solve that problem of text going missing or jumping off screens, etc. Okay, so for each test that you've got in there, one for each task. If you don't need it, cut it away. If you need it, copy it and paste it another one. Alright, screen dump of the test and expected results will go there. So I've tried to do like 9 or 10. And then finally you've got an evaluation. Okay, for each task, how did you map to the task? If you didn't complete the task, just discuss, what went wrong, or couldn't find out the code, really couldn't work this one out. I tried a few different options and none of them worked. That's fine, okay? And possible improvements, particularly if you didn't map to a task, you could say, with more time I would have been able to do this X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you've got an idea of how to do something, you just don't know how to implement it. That will be a good opportunity for you to pick up the marks for that here. Personal development, that's a good one. We've got 25 hours, as we just said, so we're planning for 20. Here you're just discussing, well, what went wrong, what help did you get? I laugh out loud when I say teacher, because we don't want to talk too much about any teacher help, but you could say you got the template to help you organise your thoughts in the document, and where you went to find things. For example, I'm saying Stacks, because Stack Overflow is one of the places that is really useful to get information. They give you blocks of code, they explain why certain things might not be working for you. So you just have to know how to pick up information. Alright, now I'm going back up here because I want to show you the last thing that you've got to do for your evidence file, if you like, is your bibliography. Alright, now I've given you 2 websites, and these websites, I'll just go to one of them, will help you to generate your reference. Okay, so I've got an electronic reference. It's a website, and it wants the website, the title of the web page, website address. That is the address. This is the title of the actual page here. So it's a school system for my Java game. Don't really need that one here. Now the author. I'm going to go back to my stacks. When you're looking at filling out your references, blah blah, you don't always have an author, and if you can't find an author, don't spend too long on it, just say unknown. Okay, now for this person, this kid asked about the looking for a school system for his game, didn't quite understand what he was doing, and the author is right here. Okay, because this is who he answered it. And oh, hello Christopher. Christopher, I would just say Java developer at Satellite Informations, because Christopher hasn't given us his full name, and why should he? It's only Stacks Overflow, so that's what I would type in. So it's how I got Christopher. That's the name. Java developer at Satellite Information Services. That's all that needs to go there. Okay. Because we don't have a name like my name's Michelle Alexander, you'd put alexander.m there, but that's fine. So website address, and if you can't find the name at all, okay, you just put the name of the website, and this one is Stack Overflow. Alright, now last accessed, I'm just going to put today's date, doesn't really matter, and then generate. So the year it was published, again, so that was 2014 there, that's when it was answered, and there you go, it was 2014. You're going to have to, if it's stacks in particular, you have to look there. It's very difficult sometimes to find the year that you found the article if it's a website, so just put this year. If you can't find what you're looking for, just put 2016 or 70, what are we in? 2016. Okay, so there you go. Sorry about that, I didn't even realise what was going on there. So then you generate, and here you go, my friends. All you have to do is copy that, and it goes into, and watch very carefully how I copy this, okay? It's coming all the way down to my bibliography page, and the example I'm just going to put here, paste, and paste as text only. That way you don't get all that nonsense that comes with the paste, okay? That's it. So every time you do find something on the internet, every time you find something that helps you to move forward with the coursework, you go to your one of these references, reference generators, and put it in just like I did. Okay, that's about a 10-minute job really. So I would keep all the URLs, you know, that where you found information, and when you've finished everything, you can go back and you can sort that out. Alright, so that